Hey, my friends, welcome back to Body Led by Design. I am here to talk to you about hormones and weight loss today. But before we get into that, it is back to school season, and I am feeling like I have a refreshed mind after finally spending, I don't know how many weeks this summer vacation, like close to 12, probably like 10 to 12, managing kids at home and schedules. And although this summer was really fun, my youngest is 10. He needs far less like hand holding. However, he's still just around all the time and still needs a lot of rides and still needs a lot of micromanaging of his schedule. And so I'm just so happy that we finally have a consistent schedule. You go to the same place every day, you do the same thing every day. And it has really given me lots of energy. And even just, he started yesterday. This is the second day. But I'm like, it's just so great to wake up and know what's happening and what he's doing and all of those things. So happy back to school to all of the moms. It always comes with feelings and sadness that we're starting another year where they're moving further and further from us. And so there's always like that sadness and that motherly heart thing, wounding, crying that comes in as well. I also have a son that he hasn't started school yet, but my oldest is going to be a senior and he doesn't start until next week, which when I'm recording this podcast next week, but when you'll be listening to it, I think he'll be in school. However, that's a whole other set of feelings that I am not ready to feel yet. So we are going to just bypass the senior that is starting his last year of school. And we're just going to talk about hormones. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something that I hear all of the time, consultations, people in my DMs, clients that are working with me, is that many times we have this sneaking suspicion that it has to be my hormones as to why I feel the way that I do. And we're going to talk about why you feel the way you do and what are hormonal symptoms. But I want to start with saying that throughout this episode, I'm not saying that your hormones do not matter. They absolutely do. They are very important. We love our hormones. We want to take care of them. But I want you to really think about, as I'm going through this episode, is that your hormones don't exist separately from how you're nourishing your body. They're not off doing their own thing in some other room of the house or some other area of your body, or like coming up with a plan and like putting their fingers together, like sneakily thinking like, how can I mess things up today? They are responding. That's their job. Their job is always responding to everything that you're giving them or not giving them every single day. So today in this episode, we're going to unpack that, because I think the it's my hormones saying or thought has really become a crutch. Because to be honest, if we just say it's my hormones, that allows us to stay in confusion. And you may think, why would I want to stay in confusion? Well, when you get to stay in confusion, you don't actually have to do anything from it because you don't know what to do. So you just get to stay there and like let your hormones feel like they're the problem and that you don't know how to do it, and or that you have to hand off this problem to somebody else, like a provider or a practitioner. And so it lets us kind of off the hook from looking at what's actually happening underneath of it. That's what today is about. We've also been greatly conditioned to not connect the two. We go to get our hormones tested in a clinic, and oftentimes the provider will offer you HRT or they'll offer you a supplement. And that's because honestly, providers don't have the time, neither the education to teach you or to hold you accountable to adequate and proper nutrition. So we don't really give it the time and attention that it's deserved because we're kind of emulating that our providers are like, take this. Yeah, maybe you should eat a little bit healthier. And you're like, okay, well, I know how to eat healthy and I'm already eating healthy. So that's not the problem. And also the support isn't going to be there because we have to remember our health system, our medical system is not built to hold you accountable. It's built to create a 15-minute time slot, give you what you need in that 15 minutes, which is very minimal. It's going to look like a referral. It's going to look like a prescription. It's going to look like a procedure. That's what our medical system is. So we can't go in and blame our providers because that's the system that they are working in. And to be honest, teaching nutrition really gives the medical system or the provider that you're seeing zero more dollars because they're running a business and it's not profitable for them to add that into your HRT plan. It's a lot more profitable to see you for hormone replacement therapy, give you the hormone. Now like the big pharma benefits, the medical system benefits because there's a lot of money being made in that very small amount of time. Right. And so nutrition is going to take more time, more accountability, and more support. And it's just simply not built for that. However, I am. And that's why I'm here giving you a free podcast all about this. And also stay tuned. I'm going to be talking to you also about a free masterclass that I'm going to be hosting in a couple of weeks that will also teach you more about this. And so we're really just in this vicious cycle of I have this problem. I'm going to be confused about it, or I'm going to give it to somebody else, a provider, and then they give me a pill to take. And then I remain confused about the problem forever, or I only get a superficial result. I don't actually heal internally what's going on here. Because the truth is that hormones are always responding to your internal and external environment, and then they create the symptom, and the symptom is the communication. So let's say that again. Hormones are always responding to the internal environment of your body and the external environment of your body, which is what you're consciously putting your body in. And then your hormones will create the symptoms. The symptom is the way that your body communicates to you, I have this need. So the hormones are not the reason, they're just the responder. And the responder, the response that they're giving you, the communication that they're giving you is that you can't lose weight. It's that we're gaining weight no matter what we do. It's that we're not sleeping well at night. It's that we might have uncontrollable cravings or sugar cravings or salt cravings, or feeling like eating healthy is really, really hard to do because you just have this insatiable urge and desire to eat foods that are not nourishing for you. Your period is wonky. It's heavier than it used to be. The week before your period starts, you lose your shit over and over and over again. Life feels unmanageable. Your children are loud. Your husband is very annoying. It feels very hard to recover from workouts, or you simply can't get out of bed to do your workouts. You're exhausted, right? That's communication from our body that the body isn't actually getting what it needs. Hormones are creating this symptom. We're not dismissing hormones here, right? We're just understanding them and then switching from blame of I'm blaming my hormones that I feel this way into how can I support my body so that my hormones are like, we're cool here. We got what we need. It's not a problem. I'll create energy for you. I'll diminish your cravings. I'll help you sleep at night. We're going to burn body fat because now I feel safe. That's the kind of environment we want to put our body in so that our hormones actually respond in that way. So I'm going to say this with so much love, but girl, your hormones are not the problem. Your hormones are responding to being undernourished. And in the most loving way, I want to say this. Your hormones are responding because you're eating like an asshole. They're not going rogue. They didn't wake up one day and decide to make your life harder because you turned 42 or 45 or 50. Your hormones don't have a brain. They don't get to decide anything. And all they do is respond to a signal and send a signal back. That's the whole job. So the real question isn't what's wrong with my hormones? What supplement do I need? Do I need HRT? Which those things can be super beneficial, but not without building the foundation of a well-nourished body. The question is, what signal am I sending them all day long that's making them behave in this way? And that's exactly why when somebody comes to me and says, I think it's my hormones, I'm not just going to hand you a supplement and call it a day. I'm going to look at the entire picture. Sometimes we look at labs. Sometimes we look at, all the time, I look at what you're eating, how you're sleeping, how you're moving, how you're managing your stress. And sometimes there's genuinely something there that needs more investigation. And that's why I include labs in my practice. But no matter what, we still have to make sure that your body is getting what it needs first. You can't build on top of a body that isn't getting fed. Even if I do test your hormones, I'm always going to still give you a nutrition plan. I'm still always going to make sure that you're supporting your lifestyle in the way that makes hormones respond positively. And also, I'm going to be holding you accountable while you build the skills to do it and follow through. Because the truth is that you got here by sending your hormones a message. And now you have to get out of it by sending a different message. But you don't really know how to do that consistently, or you would be doing it now. It's not just a pill or a patch or an injection. So what are those hormones actually responding to? They're responding to not enough. Not enough calories, not enough nutrition, not enough micronutrients, not enough vitamins. We have to, at this age, stop thinking about things very broadly, as in like, oh, it's just my calorie intake. It's just my protein intake. Those are important, but they're not the whole story. And when we don't look at the whole story, then we're really dismissing a very simple and easy and effective way to allow the body to feel safer, to get it to respond differently. So for example, when you skip breakfast or you wait too long to eat in the morning, or you're just not hungry, or you're not eating enough earlier on in the day, your body doesn't know that you're choosing to skip breakfast. Your body doesn't know that you're too busy to sit down and eat. It doesn't know that you're trying to eat less and lose weight. All it knows by that skipped meal or by under eating, especially in the morning, is that it knows that food isn't showing up when it's supposed to. And this is the part of day actually when most of you are exercising, or most of you are getting kids out of bed, getting them ready to go, feeding them breakfast, getting them in the car, getting them to school. You're sitting in traffic, you're getting to work, right? There's a lot of energy front loaded into your day. And it's when you're not giving your body nearly enough energy. So all your body knows is that food isn't showing up when it's supposed to. And it's saying, this is scarce. There's not enough here. So what it will do is that it will send out stress hormones to go find energy somewhere else inside of your body. And at the same time, it sends the message to hold on to anything that does come in, because it doesn't really trust you that it knows when the next meal is coming in. And so that's cortisol doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a beautiful process. It's kept us alive for as long as humans have been here. But now we're using it to solve the wrong problem. It thinks the problem is going to be not enough because we don't actually have food. So it prepares for that. And it thinks it's keeping you alive. It's not trying to sabotage you and say, no, I don't want you because you're 42, you can't lose weight anymore, because you're 45, because you're 50. But when you do eat enough, especially earlier on in the day, like we just talked about, there's a lot of activity happening earlier on in your day. You're really front loading your activity and you're back loading your intake. But when we front load our activity and we front load our intake, our body's getting a completely different message. It gets the message that food is available. It doesn't have to panic. It's safe. And because a body that feels safe is a body that will actually let go of fat instead of clinging to it, instead of holding on to it, instead of creating more body fat. Because when you've ate more earlier on in the day and less later, your body can actually go into fat burning while you sleep. And this is a great time to do this. So think about those symptoms that we just talked about, the cravings that your body is chasing because it's never had enough energy earlier on in the day. Later on in the day, we're tired, we're stressed, we're less resilient, we have less capacity to deal with shit. And so it's really hard for the body to already try and recover at the end of the day. But then on top of that, try to fight cravings, try to not eat because it's been undernourished all day long. And now we've run out of capacity at the end of the day. We can't fight those cravings anymore. Those cravings do feel uncontrollable because honestly, they're a lot louder at the end of the day. And we can't really fight that anymore. We've run out of capacity. And the wonky periods and the PMS that feels unbearable, that's the stress response spilling over into your hormone production in the hormone detoxification process. And so that's how hormones in and of themselves actually become imbalanced. That's why estrogen takes over and makes your period feel terrible. And it's why it makes PMS feel like you're an unbearable bear. And then when sleep isn't restful, you maybe fall asleep, but you wake up throughout the night, you toss and turn quite a bit. That's your body really trying to repair and recover without the resources that it actually has in order to do that. It's all connected. These are not 5 separate problems of gaining weight, of not sleeping, of having a terrible period, of having sugar cravings or late night cravings or eating a lot later on in the day. These are all the same problem. And it's your body's trying to tell you in 5 different ways. So what do we actually do with this? First, you have to stop hoping that it's just going to work during your busy day. That hasn't worked so far, right? Hoping for the best. You actually have to think about your food. I don't know why we're trying to not think about food. I think we're trying not to think about food because we're sick of it. We don't want to think about food anymore. We just want it to be easy. It can be easy and it can be simple. And the way that we actually make it easy and simple is to do the thing that you've been trying to avoid the whole time, which is thinking about it and planning it. I want you just to start thinking about, what am I eating this week? How am I actually going to get this food in? When you think about it ahead of time, you're using the part of your brain that makes beautiful decisions. It's the part of your brain. It's the prefrontal cortex. It knows your goals. It knows what you need. It's like the mom of your head, of your brain, of your mind. And yet we completely dismiss it and we decide to use our reactive brain and mind to make our food decisions. And that's the 3-year-old in you. That's the 5-year-old in you. We want to use the mom inside of our brain that takes care of us and knows what we need. And yet we try not to. And then we end up behaving like a 3 or a 5-year-old. And it feels very confusing, but that's just because you're choosing to use the part of your mind that doesn't make great decisions for your future. It just makes great decisions for the right now. Just start thinking about your food. You're magically, and it does feel like magic sometimes because it happens when you think about it. And when you think about it, you're going to make a different choice. You're going to make a different decision. You're going to make one that makes sense for you. Prepping would be great too, but let's just start with thinking. And my guess, if you start thinking, start thinking about like, how am I actually going to get this food? And then you'll be like, well, maybe I should actually meal prep, right? So, and then that also means eating more, eating earlier, knowing what you're going to be eating for breakfast. So this is the actual plan that I want you to be thinking about during the day. What am I eating for breakfast? You're probably going to get hungry mid-morning. What would you have there? You definitely need to eat lunch. You might need to bridge your afternoon with a snack there as well. And then I want you to eat dinner. I want you to have 5 times that you eat throughout the day. Because when you do that, you're going to be eating far less after dinner. And I know that most of you are consuming the majority of your calories after 3 p.m. because that's when those cravings become unbearable. You think you're doing fine all day. You're not actually doing fine all day. You're just really good at pushing it down. You're really good at ignoring your body's cues and signals until it gets to about 3 p.m. and you're not good at it anymore. And yet you keep trying to find a different way to do this. And then when it comes to protein, I know that you need to eat I know that you need to eat protein, but we're swinging in 2 ways. We're either consuming massive amounts or barely anything. Protein matters, and it's not some magic macronutrient that fixes everything on its own and that we can just consume endless amounts of it and it doesn't get converted into body fat. That's not true. But what I want you to do is just to eat optimal. And the way that we know if it's optimal protein is your blood sugar balanced from this? Because that's important for hormone creation and hormone balance. It's important for hunger and fullness cues. It's important for building muscle, all the things that we want in our body. And it's also going to be about the amount of what your ideal body weight is. And your ideal body weight is not a number that you weighed in high school. It's not a number that was before your first baby. It's not what the BMI chart or calculator tells you. It's the body weight that you feel most good in. And that means you have energy. You sleep at night. You are able to build and maintain muscle. You're able to hear your hunger and fullness cues. You're able to recover. When you have all of that going and you're feeling really good in your skin, that's your ideal body weight, not what someone else told you what it should be. And the other thing is we have got to stop eating all those things that are marked as healthy and just believing it because the package says that it is. All those protein bars, all the pre-made shakes, all the diet snacks, the food industry knows exactly what you are looking for. And they package it to look like the answer without it actually being anything that your body needs. And when you eat foods closer to their natural state, you're making the job easier for your body. And in midlife, your body needs things to be easier, not because it can't handle more, but because it's already doing more work with every single day just to keep your hormones steady because they're fluctuating. The amount of work we put in trying to avoid whole foods is so much more work for you and the body than just to eat the damn whole foods. So here's what I want you to walk away from today. You don't need more medication first. You don't need more supplements first. Why are we turning to these things first? Because they seem easy. But are they? Are they actually easier? They aren't, because they just prolong your state of not feeling your best in your skin until you discover that you're actually not nourishing your body. You need nourishment. Your body stores fat or burns fat based on one thing, whether it feels safe. And you cannot discipline your way into safety. You cannot supplement your way into safety. You can't white knuckle your way there and hope that discipline and motivation will get you there either. But there is one way that will get you to safety: nourishment. That's exactly what I'm teaching in my upcoming masterclass called Midlife Weight Loss. And it's how to create a body that loses body fat instead of storing it. And it works whether you're on a GLP, or you're thinking about one, or you want nothing to do with one, because it is the foundation of your body either way. It's going to be on Wednesday, September 9 at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, live on Zoom, about 60 minutes. If you can't make it live, no problem. The replay goes out by email and it will be sent to you later that day, available through September 16. So how do you sign up? You can go to the show notes to grab your spot. You can also head to Instagram. You can DM me the word masterclass, or you can go to the webpage and it's melissaikewellness.com/masterclass. I'm going to see you in just a couple weeks at the masterclass. And also, hey, I'm going to see you next week for the next episode. All right, my friends, thanks for being here. I will see you next week.